It's 11 o'clock at night in Bali, where Nadine lives, the laptop lifestyle. And actually, Nadine contacted me at Tailwind and said, I feel really strongly that this is a topic that people need now, especially and more than ever. Please, can I do this? And I was like, yeah, yes, thank you. Please do. So Nadine, if you don't know Nadine yet, and I know a lot of people saw that this was coming up and they're like, oh, I love Nadine. She has a Social Shells, and that's a website and a program where she teaches women how to work as freelance social media managers. And Boss Babe recently named her as one of the top 5 female entrepreneurs to watch in 2020. So we're watching and we're learning. And thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
And one of the cool things is we want to make sure that you guys comment and ask your questions during the show. We'll try to bring up as many as we can live here during the show today. But also, we have a guide that goes along with this. So if you want to download that, it's at bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive. That's bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive, all lowercase, all smashed together. So, it's going to be exciting. So ask your questions.
Yeah, and Jeff, did you meet Nadine at Social Media Marketing World?
I think I probably did. I don't know.
I know I did.
It's a blur.
Yeah, I remember the sunny personality to go with the sunny Bali, and that's like my dream vacation spot.
I don't even remember if you were there or not, Elisa, but it's all a blur.
But Nadine was there, right?
Yeah.
So Nadine, tell us a little bit about how you got. All right, no, let's even go further than that. What are you doing? What does your daily life look like now? The laptop lifestyle.
Well, now it's a bit different, because really now I teach other women how to live that laptop lifestyle. Whereas before I used to work with a lot of clients. What hasn't changed is that I can, work from the pool, from the beach, wherever. Really all I need is my phone, and I can travel wherever. And when I was at Social Media Marketing World, I was still serving my clients because I can work from anywhere.
So how did you get started as a social media manager back in the day?
Well, Jeff, that was actually an accident. So I quit my job, I sold all my stuff, and I said, I'm going to travel as long as I can. In my mind, I was thinking 6 months to a year. And after 2 months, I ran out of money. And then I ended up in Bali because that was the cheapest place to live. And that was I'd say 5.5 years ago. So back then, freelance social media management wasn't really a thing, especially not coming from Switzerland, where everything's super corporate. Mm-hmm. So I was not thinking, I could offer that. I was just here seeing other people working online, but most of them were website developers or any other things I didn't really understand. So my friend back at home said, you know what, why don't you just offer social media? You could use my boss as your first client. She really has no idea what she's doing, and she could just really use your help. I didn't feel like I had an idea what I was doing, but I was just posting on her Instagram account, on her Facebook account. And she told all her friends how amazing that is, that someone is basically sitting at the pool, and she wakes up in the morning and she has a post on her account and it brings her client. So she told all her friends and all her business partners, and it went really fast that I was booked out with clients, and that's how it happened. And I did that for the last 5 years.
Very, very cool.
All right. So if I'm watching this and I'm thinking, maybe this is something I want to do, I think it would help to hear what are the activities that you or a social media manager would do every day. You mentioned Instagram posts, but I know there's a lot more to it than that. So tell us a little bit about what your life would look like as a social media manager.
Yeah, great question. And a lot of people ask me because they see my Instagram account, how I do my stories, etc., and they think they have to do the same thing. But really, as a social media manager, you're in charge of your client's account. You don't have to put yourself out there as like an influencer or anything like that. I just want to mention that because a lot of people feel like that's how you need to get started. But let's say you have a client and they need help with Instagram and Facebook. So what I usually do is I plan the content out a month up front. I look what I want to post, and then I create the content as like, do I need pictures? Do I need videos? Do I maybe need an IGTV? What can I post on stories? And then I check with the clients what kind of materials they can send me, and then I repurpose that material. So that also means you don't have to take pictures for your clients if you don't want to. And then if you're a bit more advanced, you can offer paid marketing, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. I do a lot of Pinterest as well. You can offer Twitter. So really like all the content creation, and then also checking on the statistics, like how are my posts doing? And then from there, create new and different content. Really what's important to me is like the client doesn't have to come to me and say, I want these things to be posted. It's more on me telling them, hey, this is what's working, or these are my creative ideas for you in order for you to get clients or sales or anything like that.
Oh, so is there like a review process? Like, do you say, here's what I'm thinking about posting, and then they look at it, or how does that work?
So what I do usually is the first month, I give them an overview on what I do. So I create the content, and then I use a scheduling tool like Tailwind, where I plan all my content a month up front, and then I show it to them. So for example, for Instagram, I show them, these are the posts that I've been planning for you. This is the tone of voice that I use. These are the hashtags that I use. And then they usually tell me, okay, I wouldn't say this word, let's change this. But really that's only the first month. And then from there, I just do it without asking them. It's really like creating that relationship with the clients that they trust you. But what I would not want it for me to happen is that I have to send them every month the content, because then I feel like I have a boss again. And that's why I quit my 9-to-5 in the first place.
Right.
So I want to bring up some people I want to say hello from. We've got, let's see here, Emma from the south of France. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Kathy who has joined us as well. I just want to say hi to her. Let's see some other people. So can you, one question we have from JD, he goes, can you, what is the name of Nadine's website again? Can you drop a link? So what was your website again? Because we want to make sure that people know where to find you, Nadine.
thesocialshells.com.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. And we'll drop that below in the comments as well. I think that's what Elise is working on as we speak.
I understood that.
But thank you everybody for joining us here. And we have like Heather, Dawn from Alaska.
Wow.
So all around people have tuned in to hear what Nadine has to say. So, but don't forget to download the guide that goes along with this at bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive. That's bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive. And so let's say, Nadine, that okay, I don't really want to go live on the beach or by the pool. I just want to live in my couch and do some work. So, like, what do you do? What do you tell people who are like, hey, I just want to make some more money. I just want to kind of have a little bit more control over my life. How do they get started? Especially like you mentioned the Instagram influencers. So, you don't have to have 10,000 followers to get started to be a social media manager, do you?
Yeah, no, you don't. And I love that you mentioned the couch, because that's really why I reached out to Alyssa, because I felt like during these challenging times, a lot
She's
of
on the couch
people.
Hey, I did my couch for 5K this morning.
Sorry, I had to do that one. So.
So during these times, everyone is basically on their couch, right? But you could use that time to create a client. And there are, even now, a lot of people who need help with their social media management. And really, my approach was always that you do not need 10,000 followers, and you do not need to be an influencer. Your content creation and what you do, your whole job has nothing to do with being an influencer. And where you want to get started is, first of all, you want to think of, who do I want to work with? With what kind of clients do I want to work with? Super, super specific. So not just, I like women who are between 30 and 50, but like I like female entrepreneurs who have a service-based business, or even more in detail, a business coach or a fitness instructor, because from there we will then define what kind of social media platforms you will use from them, and how you're going to pitch yourself to them without being an influencer and still having that social media knowledge, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So what do you tell people when they're maybe like, I know I need to do something, but how do you know if being a social media manager would be right for you? And how do you know, you just need to slowly back away. Don't even look at this because this is not for you. So how do you like coach people on to find out if they're really interested and this is some path that they should actually go down?
Yeah, great question. So, well, first of all, you should like social media. So be helpful.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to be a person who feels like, oh, I want to put myself out there constantly, but you should like human interaction. And the reason why I say that, because a lot of the times people told me that they just feel like they can be on their social media and have like that disconnect, it's not like you're becoming a website coder and it's just like you and a computer. There is a human being on the other side of the screen. So you need to wanting to interact with human being, creating content for others and then engage with them. Just slapping out a post and then leave your phone for the rest of the day, that's like 2011. We're not doing that. So if you're not liking that, then that you should definitely step away. Another thing is like, you need to take action by yourself. So the reason why I started this whole thing is because I didn't want to have a boss to tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. If you are that person who prefers having someone who reaches out to you and says like, hey, today we could do 2 more stories, then I also wouldn't suggest doing that. Then I rather would do social media management for a corporate company where the boss tells you this is what you're going to be posting today. But as a freelancer, and that doesn't matter whether you're on your couch or on the beach, you should come up with the idea. You should reach out to the client and say, hey, there has been a Pinterest algorithm change. We need to change our content. Or, hey, today we could put up this story or that story. So really, you have to be the one who takes action. And you should also wanting to communicate with your clients. So a lot of people think once they got the client, it's like done and dusted and you just start posting, but really and just, leave the relationship with the client via email or just hardly ever communicate with them. The reason why I kept my clients for sometimes over 3 years was because I kept them in the loop and I was communicating with them back and forth over statistics. I had calls with them. So really like creating those relationships with your clients and with their clients. So it kind of loops back to you want to like humans and you want to like social media.
Yeah. So I have to like humans is the whole point of this. So, but I wanted to touch base. I kind of want to circle back a little bit to what you said about being an influencer. And from what I've heard you say is you don't have to be a fashion, or this, glamour model or any of that stuff. So I have a face for Photoshop and I do really, I do okay. So, I think that's one of the things that people, they look at the people, especially on Instagram, because we talked a lot about Instagram, and we see that there's this perfect lifestyle. They're, in front of a jet, and they have, they spent 5 hours in front of, with their makeup coach and all that stuff. But you don't have to be that to be a social media manager, is what I hear you say.
So not at all.
Okay.
So what I usually have everyone do is start a brand new Instagram account with 0 followers, because you don't want your boss, your coworkers, or your mom following you for that. Right. That will slow down your engagement anyway, because what you want to do with that new account is get your potential clients. So I use that as an example because I had a woman with 3 followers and she got a client out of it. So if you have the correct target audience, and that's why you pick who you want to work with in the beginning, then it doesn't matter how many followers you have. You want to turn them into clients, and your content is going to be completely different. You're not posting, hey, this is me having lunch at that place, or this is me at the beach here. Rather, you post about your knowledge of social media and marketing. So I post as a social media manager hey, guess what? Last week or last month, there was a Pinterest update. This is what it means for you as a small business owner. And then I give a few tips. When I go on my stories as a social media manager, I share tips and knowledge as a social media manager. So then when someone watches my stories or reads my content, they feel like, oh yeah, Nadine, she knows what she's talking about. Or, oh, Alyssa, she always puts out so great tips of Pinterest. I'm going to connect with her. Or they maybe just follow me for a while until they'll feel confident or like comfortable to reach out to me and say like, yeah, I want to work with her. But has nothing to do with all these influencer photos that you see, and really that turns people more off, because what they're interested in is your knowledge. And again, you can have 3 followers and turn one of them into a client. That is really all you want. You don't want Insta fame at that point.
Gotcha.
You talked about something a minute ago that I wanted to ask about, engaging on behalf of your clients. So if you post an Instagram update and then you get comments on it, are you the one responding to the comments, or do you try to get the clients to do it? How do you handle that?
No, so I do 2 different parts, and we can talk about the packages as well. But in my package, what is always included is community management. So that means when there is a post and then there's comments, I reply to that. That's always included. I always also respond to the direct messages. If I can't answer them, then I say, hey, this is the social media manager of XYZ. I will get back to you ASAP, and then message the client. Then the other thing, the active engagement, where you use the client's account and go and comment on other people's picture in order to get more engagement back. That's also a service I offered, but I would price that at a higher rate because it obviously takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Gotcha. We got some questions, Elisa. Do you want me to bring those up?
Please,
or do you want to wait? Okay.
Bring them up.
So let me pull some of these up. So here's a great one. I think this is very, very applicable. So this is from Janine. Says, how do you plan your social media posts? Because I know that's something clients really need, because a lot of times they're coming to you because they have no clue. So how do you plan your social media posts?
I love that. So first of all, I love batch working. So I do all my client posts planning at the same time for all the different clients. And I have a few steps that I do. And one step first is the content plan, where I have an Excel spreadsheet, and then for each day I just write in the topics that I'm gonna post about. The next step is that I have a Google document where I write all the captions. And when I say I do it for all my clients at once, I really mean that. I block out a full day of caption writing. It doesn't go on Facebook yet or on Instagram. It's just all in a Google Doc. And then the next step, step 3, is that I go into my different planning tools. So let's say I pull up Tailwind and I add all the pictures that I want to use for my clients. And then I go into my Google Doc and add the specific caption that I want to use depending on what I wrote in the Excel spreadsheet. So it's just like a 3-step phase. And for Instagram, of course, I make sure that the picture are aesthetically pleasing, that it's a branded feed, but that really is like just a tiny part of the work, and everything is done together. So that one day when I do the Excel spreadsheet, I do it for all the clients. Then the other day I do all the caption writings, and then everything into the different scheduling tool. Because I find like on the days where I have to be super creative and write engaging captions, then maybe my brain doesn't focus as much on the strategy, where I look at the Excel spreadsheet and look at the different strategy for posting. So that's like my 3-step process for all my clients. And then what I can do with that process as well is in 3 days, I can plan a month ahead of client work for, I'd say 5 to 6 clients I was able to do in my best days.
Yeah. Well, that's super smart.
So
I love
smart.
that. I love that batching.
Yeah. Yeah, you really reduce your switching costs when you do like one task all day.
And they say
I love that.
There's more and more studies. That's the way to do it, is to batch the stuff out, and we are not meant to multi-process like we do.
No, exactly.
There's a great question here from Jennifer, because, sometimes people, they may like get overwhelmed, or their business is going really great and they don't want to be a social media marketer, but they want to find one. So she asked, how do I find a skilled social media marketer for my online business? What skills or questions should I make sure that they have? So if you're wanting to be a social media marketing professional, finding out this is going to be huge, because you want to fill these needs. So what would you tell people? What questions should they make sure when they're looking for a social media marketer?
Oh, such a great question, Jennifer. So what is really important to me is I would check, what is the social media manager asking you? So if you reach out to someone and you say, I'm looking and working with you as a social media manager, or you just post it somewhere, and then someone gets back to you, they have to ask you specific questions. If they just say, oh, I'm a social media manager, I can help you, then I would say, okay, who have you worked with in the past? What kind of niche have you worked in? What kind of target audience? And what results did you get them? But really, what I feel is the social media manager should come to you and say, hey, I have worked with X, Y, and Z client who is in a similar niche like you, and I have given them these and these results. Let's jump on a call so that I can share my ideas with you. I feel a really good social media manager, not just, not that's something bad, but not just a virtual assistant who executes your task. Really a social media manager who knows what they're talking about. They should come to you already with ideas and ask specific questions. And if a social media asks you, what is your main goal with social media management? Then you already have an idea, okay, they know what they're talking about. And then you can test them. So then you could ask, hey, I just want to make 10,000 followers on Instagram. And then let's see what they get back to with you. Because really, like, that shouldn't be your marketing goal, right? But you can ask those kind of questions and see what kind of answers do they come up with, and do they offer a call so that you can ask even more questions. But really, like, they should ask you questions, and then they should bring their ideas to the table.
So I just want to kind of jump on that, because I've gotten so many clients, and you talk about asking the right questions. I've gotten so many clients from just asking this one question. When I ask, who are your biggest competitors? And they're like, oh my gosh, they actually want to know. And they think that's a genius question. And I've gotten so many clients because I've asked that, and then they tell me, and then I can do a strategy, because I can look at what their competitors are doing, find out where they're lacking and where we can come in and, maybe offer a service or a product that the audience needs. So that's a little
that
little hack.
that actually is a genius question, Jeff. Thanks for sharing
thank
that.
you, Elisa. You're in a good mood today. Give me compliments. Wow, that's amazing. So go ahead and ask the next question, because I'm unsure where we're at now. There's some great questions we'll bring up here in a minute. I want to go ahead and get those ready.
Well, okay, so I'm not sure where the order is, but as far as getting started, you already kind of hinted at the first thing you need to do is figure out who you want to work with, like what niche, and be specific. But I guess I would say, how do I know? Like, what's a good niche? What's a good niche for me? Like, there are so many. How do you decide?
That is true. Well, at the moment, I would probably look who has actually money to invest in a social media manager. If you're currently stuck on your couch and you want to work with restaurants and every restaurant is closed at the moment, I would say pivot your ideal clients to, at the moment, who is making money online, or what business needs to move online. So a month ago, every fitness center was out of work, and then a few pivoted and went online, but they needed help from online marketers. So I would first of all look who still, online coaches, or anyone who's already online. Could you use? Are you interested in those areas? And then I would also test it, like, okay, what lights me up, where I'm super interested. Maybe you do have many interests, but let's say, okay, I'm super interested in food, and cafes, unfortunately, at the moment are closed. Could I work with a nutritionist who offers her services online and works with clients online, and like kind of go in that area? And I think the most important thing is really to see as well, what kind of platforms as well do you enjoy? So if you say, say, hey, I love Pinterest, and I think I can help others being successful on Pinterest. And then your ideal clients is men in their 50s who enjoy, I don't know what, it would be, it wouldn't really work because the majority of the men in their 50s probably not on Pinterest. So these are the things that I would consider.
Yeah,
let's say majority.
Yes, but that's a good point. You want to go where the money is and where you can find clients, like the whole thing you've been saying. And especially right now, like I've seen a lot of interest in live video because everybody is online, and so that's a way people can pivot. And then you can, if you're good at that, you can offer that service. There's a great question here by Lisa says, and she asked this question: how do you price your services? This is a question everybody asks, and I would love to know your thoughts on this.
That's the $1 million question.
That's right.
Yeah, literally, right?
So unfortunately, I can't just give you a number, but what I can tell you is do not charge hourly prices, because people should pay you for your expertise and for your knowledge and for results. So similar when I can't come up with a really good example now, but just result. So if you start, and also when you start with hourly rates, you will run out of hours at one point. The idea is to create different packages and then to streamline your processes, like I just explained with like batch content creation, so that your hours go down, but you still have the package price at a higher rate because they pay you as well for your knowledge. So then what I would do is I would probably map it out for like a few weeks. How much time does it actually take me to gather content, to upload it in Tailwind as a scheduling tool, to upload it on Facebook? How much does it take me to sit down in front of that Google Doc and write a caption? And then you take these hours and calculate it backwards. And if you see, now I've spent, I don't know, 30 hours on that, and my package price was $400, and now I only get this amount, you see that there's like, that's not what you want. You want to earn more than $9 an hour, right? But my approach is a bit different. I think about, what do I want to make a month? And it kind of depends on, if you're just doing this on the side while you're on the couch at the moment, and then maybe you go back to a 9 to 5, maybe your approach would be slightly different. But if you say, hey, I want to make a decent 5K every month, and I don't want to work with 10 clients at a $500 rate, I would rather work with 5 clients at a $1,000 rate. Okay, what could I offer them in that $1,000 package? I could do Instagram management, I could do Facebook management, and then I do stories as well. And again, always calculate backwards. Does it still make sense? Do I still get enough money on an hourly basis? That's just your internal calculation. But you don't want to put too much in your $1,000 package because you think, wow, $1,000, now I need to deliver so much. It's really your knowledge that you deliver as well, and that's invaluable. But that's the way I would go. Like, I would check how much time does it actually take me, and if I want to offer that $1,000 package, then what would be my hourly rate out of that, and am I happy with that?
Yeah, I want to throw in some stuff just from experience. So one of the things that I've learned is a lot of, I think, social media managers, when they usually start locally. And I always encourage people to look broader than that, because to be honest, I don't do hardly at any local clients, because they try to nickel and dime you. They want to pick your brain for free. And a lot of times the pricing is, they want it to really super cheap. And by opening up, and because now we have this technology, we can run social media accounts from anywhere. And so you're not locked into your local economic plan. And I think that's really important. And the second thing is I would also diversify. I wouldn't just have one big client who's paying you that $5,000 a month, because they can go away, and they have before on me. And so you want to be diversified. So I would, you kind of did those numbers with 5K, so having some that pay you 500 and some pay 1,000, but I would diversify, because that helps you in case a client leaves or has a downturn or something. That protects you from losing all your income all at once. So those are a couple things. Lisa, do you have anything else? You look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I just have a follow-up question because you mentioned, they're paying for your knowledge, but what if, my 9 to 5 isn't feasible right now? Maybe I even got laid off and I like social media, but I don't have that knowledge. So where do you start and how much do you need to know in order to do this effectively?
I was hoping you asked that question.
Oh,
So,
good.
because a lot of people think like, oh, first I need to do, I don't know, 2 years at university studying marketing, but really you learn in the field. So you
Mm,
can do free courses, you can go on different blogs, you could do the Facebook blueprint that's for free. And
mm,
then what you want to look for is a free trial client. So you offer someone, don't sell it as like, you're my free trial. Sell it as like, hey, I'm offering you my 1 month social media management for free in exchange for a testimonial. And that I
mm,
can use the numbers I create for you to pitch myself to other clients. And then I usually experienced with the women who did my course that the pressure was off, like, oh my God, I need to get them 10,000 followers in the first day. They
yeah.
felt more at ease. And then you learn in the field, okay, this post hasn't worked. Why? Can I go back, reverse engineer? Why do I think it hasn't worked? And then after that month, if you feel comfortable, then you can discuss with the client whether you want to continue in a paid way. And I just wanted to add as well, what Chef said is I never used obviously to work with local clients because in Bali, that definitely no one had money to do that.
Right.
And that's the great thing about social media management. My clients are from Switzerland, from the US. You can really pitch yourself everywhere. And one thing that you never want to forget, even if you're maxed out, let's say you work with 5 clients and you're like, oh, I can't take on any more clients right now, you still want to look for new clients, because the one thing you just
Mm,
said, that will happen. At one point, a client is like, this was fun, but now I'm going to do it by myself.
mhm.
Hmm.
So I usually do 3 months minimum working with me. And I always look for new clients as well, so that I don't wake up one morning and all my clients are gone. So I
Right.
just wanted to add that.
Oh, that's good. I mean, and that I think the 3 month minimum is a great idea. And if they give you a hard time about that, then it's probably not going to be a good client. And I found, and
Yes.
you've probably noticed this as well, Nadine, is that the cheaper clients are usually the ones that give you the most trouble. And so by charging
Oh
more,
my
a
God.
lot of times that helps kind of winnow out the people who are going to give you a hard time and be those clients that you wish you'd never have ever taken in the first place. So,
Yeah, I think
Yep.
that is a painful lesson that I learned too, in getting clients was that some of you just there isn't enough money in the world for
right.
some for some
Right.
clients. So
Yes. Yep. Fire
like
clients. Yeah.
yeah, if fire clients and if you get that feeling like every time I talk to them it's stressful or a little combative, like just don't. Or you could say, and what I ended up doing a lot for Pinterest clients was, all right, let's do this review and audit before we do any kind of contract. Like they pay for it, but we'll have that experience of working together. And then at that time, we can decide if we want to enter into something ongoing. So if you
Mhm.
feel like you're not quite sure if you can suss out who's going to be a good client or not, you could start with that kind of like one time going into recurring, and that can save you a lot of heartache.
So I want to make sure we're about halfway through our time together. Make sure that you do not forget to go download this guide, bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive. That's bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive, all lowercase, all smashed together. Here's a great question from Louisa, and I want to pull this one up. And you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but I wanted to get some more ideas from you, Nadine, is how do you pitch if you have 0 customers? So you mentioned doing that
Well,
one for
then you do
free.
the
Yeah.
yeah, you
Is
do
there
the
anything
free
else you do?
trial. And well, I no, if you do the free trial, and or if you have 0 client, it's all about your confidence in the end of the day. If you feel like I didn't work with a client before, but I have already results on my own Instagram or I have marketing experience and you feel ready to charge, then pitch yourself with pricing. It really is about your own confidence and how you show up on that first call. So what I would always do is go on a call with the client, because then also, like Alyssa said, you will feel how it feels to be with that client. Can you really get them results? Already come up with ideas what you would do for that client. And if that client wants to pay you, even if you don't have experience, that's great. My first client paid me even though I didn't have experience. Right. I think it really comes down to your confidence level, because what they are paying for is not only your knowledge, but also their time freedom. So the one thing that struck out to me is every single client said to me that they loved waking up in the morning and they just had posts going on and there were people commenting and everything was replied to and there were DMs going on and they didn't have to worry. They didn't have to check it anymore. If you're a business owner, you don't want to check your Instagram. You have other things going on. Knowing that someone professional is taking care of that, that is so valuable to a lot of people. We underestimate that sometimes.
Here's another great question, kind of on that same topic from Lindsay, and she says this. She goes, "Where would you start pitching your service? Like where at, or looking for clients? You know, I get people who DM me these like spammy things on like Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure that's not the best place to do that at. So where, if you've got, you got these testimonials, you're ready to start, where do you start pitching your services? Where do you find those clients? Is it all online or is it word of mouth? How do you find them?"
Yeah, well, it's two different ways. You can do word of mouth offline, or you can do online. The messages you're talking about on Instagram are usually the random ones, I guess, like, "Hey girl, I just wanted to let you know I have this social media service." So that's not how you want to do it. One thing that I found was super helpful is Facebook groups. And I'm not talking about posting a post in there saying, "Hey, I'm a social media manager, who needs help?" I went into, I don't know how many Facebook groups, 20 or 50. And all I did, I blocked out every day an hour. And I'm a huge fan of time blocking. And then I went in every Facebook group. And then in the little search tab in a Facebook group, I would look for specific keywords. So I would enter Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, social media, and look what kind of questions came up. And then just purely provide value. Answer their questions. Most of the time people ask, "Hey, I've never worked with a scheduling tool. What do you guys recommend?" So I would write a really long answer, not just like Tailwind. I would write a really in-depth answer why I would use this scheduling tool. And I would do that on every single day, on every single post. So the next time people look for a similar keyword or are in that group seeing every single post with social media, Nadine is commenting. At one point, they will start reaching out to you. So they will start messaging you saying, "Hey, are you offering your services? I have seen you provided so much value." So that could be more of a long-term strategy. And then there are bigger Facebook groups for, let's say, entrepreneurs who already work online. They always post, "I need a social media manager." So I go into different Facebook groups from online tools, let's say ClickFunnels. And then I go inside a Facebook group and I just check who needs social media management services, because they usually literally just post, "I look for a social media manager." So Facebook groups has been super helpful for me. LinkedIn has been super helpful for me as well. Just creating relationships. And then what I would do is I would publish a LinkedIn article every other day, sharing my knowledge about social media management, so that when someone checks out my profile, they definitely know that I'm a social media manager. And then they can read through the article and see if they're interested in. And then I would just, ask them questions about their business. The most important thing is to always be the one who asks the question. People like to talk about themselves and about their business. So if you show interest, and again, loops back to like humans, and just be genuine with your services rather than being a salesy person. People do ask, "Hey, do you offer social media management services? If yes, how does it look like?" And then I would say, "Would love to chat on a quick call," and just go on the call and see how it goes from there.
See, I think that's so genius. You mentioned talking about yourself, and I'm going to talk about myself. But the whole way I got started back in the day is on Google Plus. back. That's how old it is. That's how old I am. Is I would just like for Peg Fitzpatrick, he was a huge influencer for, thousands, millions of followers. And I would just make thoughtful comments on her post. I would not be spammy. I would just like, hey, what do you, that's a great point. What do you think about blah, 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 and whatever. And developed a conversation, which eventually developed into a friendship and, partnerships and all this stuff. But all that started from what you were just saying, Nadine, is having conversation and asking questions and not being spammy. So I think that is very, very key. So that's all great points. There's a very practical question that Laura asks. She goes, when you go back and comment in those Facebook groups, are you using your personal account or do you have a separate business profile that you're using to comment?
Great question. So I use my personal profile to go and comment into Facebook groups. And just as a side note, I also see that a lot of people use their personal profile to share their business ideas, or like, I just did this or I did that, or just general business posts. Technically, that's not allowed from Facebook, so I never do that. But I still use my personal profile to just comment, because otherwise you'll have that disconnect. People will think like, oh, is it really a real person? Is she really genuine? So if I share my knowledge with my personal profile, for a lot of people, it creates right away that trust factor. But that also means it's really my personal profile. I don't share any other business stuff on there. I use my Facebook business page for that. I just wanted to point that out, because a lot of clients will ask you to do that, and I also tell them you shouldn't do that.
Right. Very good point. Real quick, while Elisa gets her question ready, I wanted to add this from my pal over on Eileen. She goes, shout out to Google Plus. All right. Rest in peace. Eileen was why I met her over there. She's a great person. She's watching over on YouTube. Yep. So thanks for that, Eileen. Yes, I miss it too. I really do.
Yep.
So
it was fun while it lasted. So Nadine, you mentioned a lot of really great ways to reach out to people and to get your first client. Do you have to have a website to do this? What do you think?
No. So I would say the biggest mistake is to focus on your website. Well, the reason why I know that is because I did that. Just because you put out a website doesn't mean that now magically everyone knows that you're a social media manager. And I think we want to have it. And we want to kind of feel like, oh, now I have a website, now I'm legit. But really what you want to focus on in the first few months is creating clients and focusing on money-making activities. So what I always teach my women is to not focus on, yes, you could create a nicer graphic for your Instagram, you could brand your story even further, or you could create it even fancier, but is that really bringing in a client to you? Or would it be more effective to spend an hour in Facebook group, to reach out to people on LinkedIn, to create those connections? That's really where you get the clients. All the other stuff is super nice to have, and I'm a massive fan of that. But creating a website, creating all that content for the website, the end of the day is not going to bring in you clients. What you can do, however, is create a mini website, and that is your Instagram account. And you will use the story highlights basically as your website. So the exact tabs that you would have on the website, about, services, contact me, all these things you'll put on your story highlights. And then it kind of works like a website.
Smart.
That's genius. So and then you could use Tailwind's the
smart.bio.
Yeah, smart.bio, where you could actually break it down to articles if you did have a website, or lives that you were on, or podcast episodes. Oh, that's genius. That is really genius. So we have some great questions here. This is a great one by Janelle. She asked this: if you're still working at your 9-to-5, how do you manage multiple clients, and at what point do you make the transition to being an entrepreneur or a full-time freelancer? That's a great question.
Great question. Yes. So I would say work with maximum 3 clients, and it also really depends on the clients, like how much do they constantly need you or want you, but also you don't want to get burned out. It also depends on your 9-to-5. There were 9-to-5s where I was in that needed so much of my brain, and there were others where I was bored out of my mind.
Right.
So that also makes a massive difference. And then it all comes down to planning. So most of the women I teach, they are still in their 9 to 5, and they want to get their first clients while they are still in their 9 to 5. So they have that security. Oh yeah, it's actually working. Not everyone just wants to quit their job and move to Bali, and I totally get that. Mm-hmm. So we want to get a feeling of how does it feel to have to manage your time. So when you come home in the evening, how much more work can you do? How much work do you do on the weekend? And that will help you once you are a freelancer, because then suddenly there's no more boss telling you what to do. And everyone is now experiencing this working from home. Everybody is like, oh, I'm watching Netflix all day, or I'm just on the couch all day. I'm like, well, you still got to get a routine. Yeah. So that is actually the perfect training. If you are in your 9 to 5 and you have a client, that's the perfect training to work as a full-time entrepreneur. But I wouldn't do more than 3 clients. Like, you still want to stay sane.
That's a good point.
That is
yes,
important.
We want to stay sane because clients can drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Louisa asked, this is a great question about, so we talked a little bit about pricing, but she asked a really specific question. Do you charge extra for services like monthly newsletter creation? So do you have like a general package, or where they can pick kind of a la carte stuff that goes inside of that? Or do you just say, when you're doing a proposal for those 3 months of services, do you like, this is what it all includes? If you want this, it's this much extra. I mean, how do you, like newsletter creation, how would you add that on?
Yeah, exactly like you just said it, as an add-on. Okay. So I usually have 3 main packages and a few add-ons that I feel like would help the client or that I generally like. So for a long time, I had the add-on engagement, and then every day I would do engagement for clients, and I realized, wow, it takes a lot of time. So I took that off again. And then newsletter creation can be one thing. Then you could do, if you already offer Pinterest management as one of your packages, then you could use as an add-on blog post creation. So I always have a few add-ons and like 3 main packages.
Gotcha. That's a great tip. So, go ahead.
You have another question?
Okay. Oh, I got tons, but you ask yours.
Okay, I'll ask mine and bring up some more. Okay. Please. Okay, so you mentioned that you use spreadsheets and you use Google Docs and you use Tailwind. So tell me, like, what other tools do you recommend for a social media marketer who's just getting started?
Yes, so I would definitely, so I use a spreadsheet, but what I would definitely have is Google Drive or Dropbox, because you will need to manage your client's content. And apart from having different tools, the most important tool is if you are organized, and you need to be organized because you're going to deal with so much different content. So definitely have a Google Drive, and then for each client you have a folder, and for each folder you manage the different contents, the stuff that you already posted, the stuff that you're going to post, photos and videos, and then a separate folder for all the administration like contracts, etc. So I cannot stress enough how important that is. So that means you would have a Dropbox and a Google Drive so that clients can share easily their documents with you, so that they don't randomly email pictures. You want to train your clients right away how to share content with you. This is your specific folder. Upload all your pictures here, and never send me any emails or WhatsApps or photos anywhere else. You all want to have it there. And then another important tool that I use is LastPass. This is a tool that securely saves your passwords and lets you share passwords with someone without you seeing the actual password. So the clients sometimes are embarrassed if they have to share their weird password with you, but most of the time also they're scared. I got so many people saying, "Oh, is it okay if I share my password of Instagram with you?" I'm like, no, don't send it to me on WhatsApp. Like, use LastPass. There's an app for your phone and you can install it on Google Chrome. So that's the safest way. And then another tip is to download Loom, which lets you record your screen and then explain to the client how to use LastPass and how to use Google Drive or Dropbox, because yes, some entrepreneurs are super skilled, but also there are some business owners, let's say a cosmetic studio, she is used to work with clients on doing facials. She's not used on how to use Google Drive. So create a quick Loom video and just explain to the clients, this is how we share passwords, this is how we share photos. So it feels like a super smooth onboarding experience. And these are definitely tools that I would use, and they're all for free.
Awesome. Those are all great tools. We do have a question from a longtime friend of the show, our friend from the UK, Sally Howe goes, how would you go about finding and approaching an influencer who would be a good fit for your products? So I know Sally, I think, sells jewelry. And so I'm sure she's trying to like figure out, okay, I want to get more exposure with my jewelry. I need to, especially on Instagram, that'd be a great place to find an influencer. How would you find the person to fit for those products?
Great question. So there are agencies that do that for you or have influencers under contract. I personally like a different approach. I would look what kind of, so is my jewelry representing travel? Let's just say, I don't know, I have shells on my jewelry and it represents the travel lifestyle. I would go into those specific hashtags and look what kind of influencers are using those hashtags. And then I would start interacting with some. And then what I do is I create a specific folder in Instagram, a saved folder, you know, like it's a bit like Pinterest where we can save the pictures. And I have one specific called influencers, and I interact with them. And I see if they message me back, or if they follow me back, or if they message me directly. If not, I would reach out to them either via email or on direct message and see if they wanted to do a collaboration. And the most important thing is to have a contract with them. Whether you do it with an agency or do it directly, I would have a contract. The reason why I like it directly is I get a better feeling on how that influencer actually is, you know, like when they're on stories, how are they super happy and inspiring and positive? Because sometimes someone sends you an influencer and you think, yeah, that's a great fit on paper, but only after you've been following them for a while you see whether they represent what your brand represents. And it's the easiest way to just have them in a folder and then just go in once in a while and check what kind of stuff did they post.
Very cool. There's a oh, go ahead.
I'm seeing a bunch of comments on the live from some of your students and how much they love your course and love your group. So can you tell us a little bit about your group, what you do in there, and also you're so passionate about this topic, especially right now. I just want to make sure you get a chance to say whatever it is that we didn't pull out of you with our questions.
Yeah, that's so cute. Well, I think the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because when I started this, I was doing it all by myself. It wasn't a big thing back then, and no one really knew what social media management was. And I felt super alone and sometimes not confident. And now that I teach these women, so if you go to thesocialshells.com, you will see the course, and then what you'll get is access to a Facebook group with those women that are going through the same process as you, as brand new social media managers. They're not influencers, they have the daily struggles like you do. They struggle with confidence or fear of failure, or just sometimes everyone sometimes thinks to themselves, what am I even doing? Am I doing it correctly?
We all think that,
that's why I'm so passionate about. And I want to support them not only on a strategy, but really also on the mindset. We do have monthly mindset calls. They have monthly strategy calls as well. And it's really that group feeling and that feeling that you're not alone. And that doesn't matter whether you want to travel later or whether you want to stay on your couch. It's really to connect with real life women who are going through the same struggles and really want to create that life that looks, so fancy on Instagram. And sometimes to us, it can look like this is not achievable for us. Like, I don't have a yacht, so I can't have that freedom life. But you can just be a mom, and when your children take a nap, you can post on Instagram and still make money on the side. And they're really supporting each other. So that I really love that they're here tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome. You have there's so like Sally was saying, she was just saying, you're being so generous with your advice. Thank you so much. We've got a ton of
Oh,
people
thanks,
who
Sally.
are saying, this is an, Sarah says Natalie's course is such a great place to start. She offers so much knowledge, value, and ongoing support. Love being part of the social shells. So very, very cool. Lots of great stuff today. Thank you guys for asking such a good question and all your comments below. Nadine, it's awesome. Lisa, I'll let you have the final. Oh, before we go, make sure that you do go download our guide to this show at bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive, bit.ly/TW Survive and Thrive. Elisa, I'll let you close this out today.
Well, I am really, really glad that we got that email from Nadine saying, hey, I have this thing that we should really talk about. It's important, and and I want to do it. And I thank you very much for reaching out. This was a great topic. I feel like if I were in that position of needing either a side hustle or to kind of replace some lost income right now, I feel like we have a roadmap, right? So pick your niche, learn some stuff, and start talking to people. Like it's really that simple. So thank you so much for being here. And thanks, Jeff, for handling the comments and being here as always.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank
we'll see you next time.
so much.
There was some questions, Elisa. When's our next Tailwind, our next Pinterest show? And that is when? Do you have the date for that?
A week from Thursday. But next Tuesday is our very last in the Survive and Thrive series. We're going to be talking to our Tailwind's very own Melissa Meganson about affiliate marketing. So I know that's a little bit of a challenge in these times, but there are some really great opportunities, and she is the one to tell you about it. So we'll be back next week.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, Nadine, for all your advice and knowledge today. And we will see you guys next time. Bye now.
Bye.